now on, you should be seeing a new book review in the podcast and hopefully here on Facebook as well. We'll see how long we can keep it going on Facebook. You'll see that also on YouTube, Instagram TV. We're going to be posting this to a lot of different places to make sure that everybody has access to this information. This is life-changing information, and when used effectively, then you can go and change your life. And that's really my goal, is to help you reach your goals and build your legacy that you want. So what is the book, Who Moved My Cheese? What's the storyline? Storyline of Who Moved My Cheese is essentially these, in a very well advanced world, we have two little mice, Skiff and Scurry, and then two little people, Hem and Haw. And Hem and Haw, they're the size of people, they are doing the same thing, and they're in a rat race. And in this rat race, they have consistently, every day, the doors open and they have to go get their cheese. Every day they have to go get new cheese, every day, every day, every day. And it just keeps going and going and going. And eventually they find one room. It's like the gold stockpile of cheese. They've got all the cheese that they could ever want, right? And so every day they're just going to that same cheese, same cheese, same cheese. Well, about halfway down the pile of cheese, the mice decide, oh, this is getting old. And they start running off. They are going through the rat race looking for other rooms, you could say, other boundaries, if we're referring to our earlier podcast, other boundaries, other rooms that have cheese, maybe different types of cheese or different aged cheese, you could say. See, what Hem and Haw didn't recognize that Skiff and Scurry did, because they were paying more attention and it's more in their nature, was that the cheese in the original room was getting old. It was in a position where it was starting to mold and get to the point where it was not good for them. It was not good for anybody. It wasn't really edible. They were eating it, but it wasn't really edible. It wasn't sustaining them, giving them the energy that they needed. And yet Hem and Haw, every day they would just go back to that same cheese. Well, slowly, after years, this stockpile of cheese was dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And Haw decided, man, this is ridiculous. I need to start going out and figuring out what Skiff and Scurry was doing. He'd lie there after he was eating his few crumbles of cheese that was left. He would lie in that room thinking, man, I'm envisioning Skiff and Scurry out finding new cheese and enjoying it, jumping, bathing in the cheese. And then there's Hem and Haw, and they're just sitting there in this room that has almost empty and full of moldy cheese, whatever is left. And so eventually Haw decides, you know, I've just got to go make the best of this. I'm going to go figure out where this new cheese rooms are. I'm going to go try and do what the mice do every day and find new cheese. What Hem was stuck in, though, was a mindset that his cheese was safe in the room. He never wanted to leave. But then when they ran out of cheese, he felt like he was entitled to have more cheese put there, because the new cheese would be put there every day. But he felt like he was entitled to have that cheese in that room, in that same location every day. And what that did, it limited him from being able to go out and find new cheese. Haw, although a late adopter, he did eventually decide to go out and get new cheese and new efforts. And if we're looking at this in the correlation to our life and business and our family and whatever that is, sometimes we just get so complacent with our situation, we don't really go out and experience new experiences. We just get stuck in what I would call a habitual rhythm, or something where we do the same things every day, even though we know it's not producing what we want. We know it's not good for us. We don't have the energy or the self-control to actually get up and go and do something else. This creates an issue when really the only way to survive is to change, right? Change is the only constant thing in our life that I'm aware of. Everything is changing, everything is evolving, and if we are unwilling to accept that and to lean into that, jump into change, then we're going to get left behind. To give you an example of this change, a good example is a podcast, right? I've been thinking and kind of wanting, hemming, hawing, right, about should I start a podcast? When should I start a podcast? Who's going to listen to my podcast? All these things, all these reasons that I didn't want to start and jump in and start the podcast. But as a result, I was not getting the content that I needed. I was not getting the reach that I needed. Same thing with Facebook videos. I'm a little bit sometimes self-conscious about what I look like. And truth is, I'm pretty vain probably, but I was a little bit self-conscious of that. So I didn't know that I wanted to put that everywhere on social media, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. But what I realized was, unless I'm willing to do that, unless I'm willing to go out and just go for it, then I'm never going to get the exposure. I'm never going to meet the people that I need to meet. I'm never going to find the new cheese that's going to help sustain me and my family in the future. because the old cheese, what I have been doing, is just going to get me where I've been. But I have to go out and look for more. And same thing in your life. I know that you're sitting there going to work, driving home from work. You wake up in the morning, you're stressed about what's going to happen. You hope that you have time to do everything that you need to do for work, everything you need to do for your religious aspirations, your faith, your fitness, and then your family. Sometimes we neglect our family because we think, they're always going to love us. They're always going to be there. And so we don't schedule them in and make that an absolute essential part of our day, is our family. And that's something that I've had to learn as an entrepreneur, is make sure that every day I'm spending absolute time with my family, and I'm not going to give that family up to somebody else. I need to make sure that I'm always including my family in what I'm doing so that I can have the energy and the recoup time to go out and hit my goals harder and be more effective in my daily work goals, faith goals, fitness goals. When I have my family and my house in order, then that makes me the most effective I can be. So I'm going to read a little bit of the excerpts of things that I got out of Who Moved My Cheese, but I don't want to destroy it for you too bad, because you need to read this book. This book will change your life, change the way you view things, whether you're working at a corporation, whether you're an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter what you're doing right now, a stay-at-home mom, doesn't matter. The goal is change, and how can we constantly be developing ourselves and be comfortable with change, not just be comfortable, but really be excited for that change. And some of the things that they realized in this book, I want to share because they're things that helped me change the most on my journey. The first thing is, how important is your cheese to you? How important is you getting that daily thing that you need, whether that's income, your daily fix of Netflix, your daily fix of whatever? How important is that cheese for you? And the more important that cheese is for you, the less likely you're going to be willing to give it up. The problem is that if you're so attached, emotionally attached, like Hem was, to that cheese, then once that cheese goes bad, once it's no longer productive, once it's no longer helping you move towards your focus and your goal, then you don't have the option to be there. So that's super important. It looks like you're gonna have to log off of Facebook if you're on Facebook, and just listen to the podcast. Too bad for all those people on Facebook that they're gonna have to go and listen to the podcast to hear the rest. I'll have to be more aware of that in the future. But basically, Who Moved My Cheese, and how important is it to you? You gotta be willing to let go and move on from your cheese, or you're never gonna get anything new. Part of that, though, is imagination. We've got to learn to visualize what we're going towards. I was listening to a podcast today, and they're talking about, hey, well, what do you want? Well, I want an apple. Well, if I come and give you a Granny Smith apple, but really you wanted the Gala apple, you might be dissatisfied and not want the apple anymore. So you can't just say, I want the apple. You have to be specific about what apple you want. In this case, what type of cheese do you want? What is that going to look like, feel like, taste like, smell like? What's going to be the experience of you walking into that room with the new cheese? And that's what Ha, who decided to go out and risk his luck in the maze trying to find stuff, that's what he decided. And occasionally he would get down on himself, just as we all do. We think, why am I doing this? Why am I still trying to go out and do something new? Why am I putting all this effort in? It's not helping me. Well, in that case, you're right. Maybe right now it's just a lot of grinding. But if you don't keep going, what are you going to have? You're going to have what you already have, which you're not satisfied with. So you don't lose anything by going out and trying to get more or learn more. And that's something you have to realize, is that you're not going to lose anything by going out and getting more, because you already have what you have. But to get something better, you have to go out and expect something new to happen, and learn that really the stuff that you have is going bad anyway. So it's really important to move. And so you have to smell the cheese often, because if you aren't constantly checking in with what you have and saying, hey, am I still satisfied with what I have? Am I still moving towards my goals and accomplishing my goals in the current situation that I'm in? Then you might just get lackadaisical and not recognize that you need to move. And so that's one area of it. The other thing is that once we have all of our cheese, once we've got all of that, we have to continually be excited to move to new cheese, move to the new things in our life, the next chapter. And as we recognize that change is exciting and that we can accomplish that change through stronger, more powerful efforts to accomplish our goals, then will be able to do that. One thing that helped Ha was having the mentors of Skiff and Scurry, that he could follow them and they would lead him to new, better cheese. And so who is mentoring you? Who's leading you to the better cheese? Who's leading you to greater income, to a better family life, to a better situation that you're going to have in your life? If you don't have a mentor, if you don't have somebody listening, feel free to latch on here. I love to always be growing and always be leading people to greater lives. And I'm still on my journey. I have mentors, just as every mentor that I know and that mentors me, they have a mentor. They're always continually growing. That's something we have to get in the habit of, is constant growth, constant development of ourselves, or we're not ever going to be able to lead others. If we stop growing, then we will no longer be able to lead others. So with that, it's important to always be growing. Smell your cheese often. Make sure that you know where you're at. And then what I would suggest for you guys is actually write down a list of all the things that you have enjoyed, and what does your cheese look like right now? What are you dissatisfied about with your cheese, and what would need to change in your situation for you to have better cheese? Now, looping it back into the boundaries, right? Hem thought that he should only be looking in that one room for cheese. He was stuck to that boundaries. Me personally, I don't want to be stuck to my boundaries. I want to have the whole maze, the whole world, everywhere to go and find new and better cheese, new and better income, new and better experiences. And so as a result, you have to always be looking for the next step. You always have to be looking outside of that. And you can't do that if you're locked into a certain boundary of servicing area. I was just talking to my little sister today, and she's a waitress. And if she doesn't, she can only work her tables or her section, right? If she's going to work on somebody else's table, then they get a tip and she doesn't get any part of that. It's like, that's such a zero-sum game. For her to even get a shift, somebody else has to quit or go home or something like that. And it's like, well, there's not enough for everybody, and that's crazy. Why not go work in a profession where there's plenty for everybody, and that there's always room for everybody to grow and become better? And that's really what I strive for, and what I would hope those following me are going to be striving for, is how can we continually do better? How can we continually open up new areas and serve more and more people and bless the lives of more and more people? So that's what I'm focused on. Remember, it's Who Moved My Cheese, authored by Spencer Johnson and Kenneth Blanchard. Kenneth Blanchard forwarded it, but they are fantastic. They actually have a bunch of books. They have children's series, and they have more adult series that are all just fun stories that help you realize the ironies of your current situation and help you create enough cognitive dissonance that you're actually willing to go out and move and try something different. So just a quick review of what I did different since reading that book. I got on Instagram, started doing a lot more Instagram, social media posts, Facebook. I've really revamped my Facebook situations, and I've just recently, I'm writing an ebook. I have started a podcast, right? I'm doing everything I can to constantly be searching for more ways to impact and help those around me, because I know that this information needs to get out there. We have to change our mindset if we want to excel. So hopefully you have a wonderful day, and I'm excited for all those people who will rank and review my podcast. Please share it any way you can. That way we'll move up the ranks, or up the rankings on all the podcast sites. We can get higher up there and get this message out to more people. So talk to you soon. Have a great day. Enjoy your cheese.